This is my take on the most compact base in Rust. From the outside, the base may look worthless and have nothing in it, but from the inside, let's discuss that next. So, before we begin, let's go over what I've managed to compact inside this tiny base. First of all, we've managed to get a TC in there. Secondly, we've managed to fit 4.5 large boxes in here, as well as 2 electric furnaces, a small battery, a weapon rack, and a workbench level 2. Well, I know what you're asking right now. What's inside the base? Well, let me show you. Heading inside of the base, we have a double door. On the right side, you'll see 4 small boxes, a frontier barrel on the left side with a weapon rack. Jumping inside, we have an electric furnace, a tier 2 workbench, 4 more small boxes at the back, 2 small boxes under the workbench, another electric furnace, our TC, drop box, and of course a small battery. And everything separating the base is 2 garage doors and our double door right here. Now you may be wondering, what is that on the back? Well, you'd be right, that is a single door. The only way we're able to compact everything in this base is with the single door. And so this base, or this side of the base, has to be built up against a rock. This is to cover the door and prevent anyone from, actually getting to your TC for cheap. But also being able to offer more space for your TC to push back and these small boxes to be able to stack. But I know what you're all asking. How do you build it? Well, let's begin. So for starting out this base, we're going to start out with 3 triangle foundations, which, if you didn't know, is the entire footprint. If you're following along, I'm going to be upgrading everything to the final grade, but feel free to upgrade things to stone if you need to. Over here, this is going to be up against the back of a rock, so if you've already built the foundations, unfortunate. This side is going to be pushed up against a rock, and this door is going to be up against the rock as well. You're going to have to make sure that there is no gaps between the door and the rock. Because if there is, then we're going to have some problems with people getting into our TC later. Now in the back here is where we're going to put our TC. Now to get our TC in, it's kind of awkward. It takes a bit of practice. You just want to put it to the side like this, and you just want to push it as far back as possible into the wall and against the door as well, until you can get it as far back as possible. And you can see how it's sticking out the door frame here. Gone a little bit further than it should have. From here, we can just put a single door here. And you got to make sure the door is facing in. Now, for the starter, we're going to put a double door frame here. And you can slap a garage door in it or a double door, depending on what grade you're at. Obviously, it'd probably be a double door for where you're at. But for the sake of doing final grade for this video, I'm going to go with a garage door. For basic starter stuff, if you do need that, you can put a you can put a normal furnace in here. You can just slot one in right here. And on the right side over here, you can actually just put yourself a small box. You're going to have to kind of wiggle it and move it back a pixel, but that will not peek out the garage door or double door that you have. This should stay completely behind it, and you'll be completely fine. So obviously in your starter here, we've got some storage, a furnace, and a TC. Everything you will need to get yourself started. But the only problem is, getting in and out of the base will be kind of difficult, and we're going to have to be wary about that because we have one door to get in and out, and we do have a standing space, but this isn't enough, obviously. So we're going to the next expansion. So obviously we're going to place a wall to our left here, another triangle on top, and another double door frame. And then obviously you can fill this in with a garage door or double door, depending on where you're at. For this one does have to be a double door frame. It can't be armored, it must be a sheet metal double door. And you cannot change it out later. Once you place the double door, make sure it's facing inside, and you cannot remove this double door. Once the double door is down, the only thing you need to be worried about is when you're placing some of the boxes, your door will have to be open, as that is part of one of the glitches that we're going to be using for the stacked storage. So we see over at the back here where we have our single door. The single door will remain open. It has to remain open the entire time. The reason is because if anything is built whilst we stack boxes, if boxes are stacked here and we close the door, the boxes will stay. But then if we proceed to place anything, the boxes will break. I will demonstrate that right here. So the boxes are now stacked. And then you'll notice that if we decide to place down our workbench level 2 for the time being, the workbench level 2 would go right here. And the boxes will not break with the door open. But then if we proceed to close the door and then place the item, and then we decide to break the item, these 2 small boxes on top that are stacked will break with it. This is for both doors. So this is why we're going to stack these boxes as the last possible resort we can, because with this door open, we are very vulnerable, and if we have to keep this door open while we're building other things in the base over here, then we're going to have some issues. So we have to do things in a step-by-step process when we're building in here. So obviously for stacking the boxes, the first box is kind of simple. You have to push it back against the door as much as you can. I recommend standing in this corner and wiggling it until you see it align with the left foundation, and it turns blue, and then you push it back. And you'll see it just pop forward here. It's further enough back to where it's not going to get caught by the garage door, so we're fine. Then we're going to open the single door. We're going to stand in the corner again, and we're just going to keep wiggling it in until it finally goes. And then just repeat the process. And if you keep doing it right, we'll be able to get 4 small boxes. Obviously, we cannot get this 4th one yet unless you get a lucky jump. But if you can't do that, then this is where we get our electric furnace. We're going to push the electric furnace to the back here. Got to make sure the single door is open. And we're just going to push it back into the corner here, like this. Heading on top of it, this will make the last placement a little bit easier, although you will have to pull it back and out a little bit, and you will have to kind of walk out because, don't ask, it's a weird placement. But once you get it, we're fine. This one may or may not stick out of the garage door. It just depends on how you place it, but if it does, don't worry. It's a very difficult placement to get, and it may take some practice, so I do recommend practicing this in a build server beforehand. For our next placement, obviously keeping the single door open, we're going to place down this workbench level 2. Obviously, keeping it straight, we're going to have to pull it back and to the right as far as we can until it aligns with this box here. And then heading on top of this electric furnace, we're going to wiggle these last 2 boxes in here, making sure they're as compact as we can possibly get them. Now, over to the left here, this is our next electric furnace spot. So we're going to squeeze our electric furnace in here. And then obviously we need our frontier barrel. If you do not have the barrel, don't worry. There are other things you can place here. You will just be 1 box down for the time being. Now the barrel is down, obviously the last spot for our boxes is right here. So obviously, once again, keeping the single door at the back open, and now taking a little bit of a risk here, we're going to have to open the double door. But opening the double door, you can, if you want to, expand this out for extra defense if you need. You can, if you want, add a small airlock here. You can expand it around the front. But placing in these small boxes is a little awkward. These will have to, obviously, all squeeze in as compactly as humanly possible. Open the double door. And you kind of just have to push yourself in between the workbench and the door. Kind of. It's a pretty awkward thing to get. But when you get it, you can kind of just push the boxes back here and kind of squeeze them in. If you can't do that and you are struggling, you can honestly just do it like this. But I will warn you, you will get a little bit less walk room than what you would do not doing this. So take that as you will. But if you do choose this process, obviously, like I said, a little bit less walk room. You kind of have to squeeze in a little bit more. But it's alright. It still works. You can still walk around the whole base and all. So it's not that big of a deal. We don't really have to worry about any more things other than maybe a small battery that we can throw on the back here. This isn't much of an issue at all. You can throw it in back from all the way back here. Just to make sure that if you're going to break anything, remove the just open the doors. All right, because if the doors are closed and you break something, all the boxes will break. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. But that is the sacrifice we make for a compact base, and that is the sacrifice we make for using bugs. This bug will not get you banned, by the way. This is a part of the game, and the developers, I'm pretty sure, are very wary about it, and have probably just left it in for a reason. But we don't need to worry about the bug at all. We have one last thing to do. And as you may know, that is the solar panels. I mean, how else are you supposed to get electricity to your battery? So, just going to throw these on. Obviously following the east and west. And that is your base finished. Obviously, there are some expansion techniques, and in my next video, I will go over some ways we can expand the compact base. I'll cover everything in the next video, but until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.